Very good afternoon to everyone. It's really difficult to be a part of the last session, and that too on the last day, when all the people are educated about the subject, and everyone knows what is going to come out. But this is one of the subjects which has been talked a lot about in terms of taking the telemedicine to the rural area where it is actually required. We have been the distributors for various kind of products which are related to the telemedicine solutions from Messrs. Polycom, from Messrs. Global Media, which offers the complete IT infrastructure solution with solutions getting scaled up to the national level. Last year there was a statistics which was done by NSSO, National Survey and Statistics Organization, on the health segment, that the rural population which is traveling within India, the patients and their attendants, they are spending close to around 23,000 crores on just the travel itself and no medical expenses which are involved in that. This is just the travel estimate. We have seen a lot of statistics in last 3 days, and this is another statistics which is much more than the health budget which has been allocated by the central government. So that is how people have started looking at telemedicine, but we have seen a lot of pilots and no real push which has gone. What I feel is that one of the factors is that there has been slightly lack of participation from the government in this particular area, though there have been a lot of committees, a lot of discussions which are happening, but there have been no particular focus approach which has been taken till date. If you see that any new technology which is for use for the masses, like even the telephone which was introduced in country, that was done by the government. Then email facility came in, that was also done by Government of India. Even internet access, that was started by Government of India. This was way back in 1978 when even Department of Information Technology, they set up a new society itself to focus on the email and the internet, which was by the name of ARNet, which turned out into an autonomous society in 1991. So that was a focus approach when government realized that this is a technology which is going to help the masses, and someone has to take the first step, because whatever one may say, the corporates are not going to come into the fray till the time they say viable business model. There will be some of the pilots which will be there, but taking up to a larger shape, the government has to step in. They have to show that there is a market which exists, and then there will be a lot of service providers will come in, which has happened in telephone, which has happened in internet, which has happened in email. Today government is taking the back seat. So government now is quitting out of those particular services, and now they are moving back to the regulation. So government has to create the policies, they have to create the platform so as to attract the people from the industry, so that they come and clear similar kind of platforms and then move out on the regulatory mode, which has, I think, not yet happened in this particular domain. If you see success of various projects in other ministries, like I would say Ministry of Home Affairs, there is a project which has been conceptualized by the name of CCTNS, which is connecting all the police stations and police chowkis across the country. It is happening at the state level, and we are talking of the locations not less than 20,000 across the country, which is not a small number by any means. There is a funding allocation of around some 2,000 crores plus, which has happened to that particular connectivity itself. Similarly, we have seen similar rollouts in the power segment, which was the APDRPs, wherein again all the power related units have been connected, and there is a major funding which has again gone in. Similarly, if you see even the eGov initiative of Ministry of India, that has also been took off after the NEGP was rolled out in 2006, and then there was various mission mode projects which got conceptualized, like the state wide area network, the state data centers, the CSCs, the capacity building. So we need to see that which is the particular area we want to focus, and we have to create a mission mode project around that. These are all the initiatives which were done by the central government, but end of the day, the country has been spread into the states. So it has to be rolled out into the states. So we need to take the state also as one of the stakeholders in this particular initiative. NEGP in 2006, there were 3,300 crores which was allocated across various projects. And today, if you see within 5 years, out of 35 states, I believe 25 states have already got the state-wide area networks, wherein the connectivity has gone up to the block level. So today we have close to around 6,000 plus blocks which are already connected on 2 Mbps or above that, which is no small achievement by any means. And if you see at the block level now, a lot of states, they are talking of, this was called the vertical SWAN, and now people are talking of the horizontal SWANs, which are going to connect up to the panchayati and up to the village level itself. Another mission mode project which was taken by Ministry of IT was the CSE, the Common Service Centers, wherein again close to around 97,000 have already been rolled out, and yesterday Mr. Pilot was there when he announced that he is going to take the numbers from 100,000 to 250,000. Now 250,000 means that practically we have a common service center in every third village in the country, so which is already connected, and the purpose is to roll out these kind of services. And in any developing country, education and health is always going to be the most focus area where a lot of investment will come in and a lot of, I would say, focus here by any government. If you see, coming back onto this telemedicine, how it has to get rolled out, some of the crucial factors which have to be kept in mind while rolling out, I would say a large telemedicine network. I would say when I say large, it is at least hundreds of nodes which are connected. Some of the crucial factors are, first factor is the, I would say, participation by the patient as well as the doctor. Now doctors are going to participate if the technology is going to be easy to use. We have seen a lot of corporates, a lot of organizations who are pushing people to work from home. This could be something similar to that. We are giving a facility to a doctor to work from any place where he wants. We have seen some of the specialists even in metro cities where a doctor attends 2 hours in one particular hospital, then another 2 hours in the afternoon he goes to some other location, in the evening again he is there. And sometimes these hospitals are at least 1 to 1.5 hours away. So these kind of specialists are wasting at least 2 to 3 hours just traveling within the city. We are talking of major metros. These 2 to 3 hours can be used in delivering those kind of medical services to the rural or rest of the community. For what we need to enable is, we need to enable certain devices so that he is able to offer the teleconsultation or telemedicine, whatever services he wants to offer by ease of use. Whether it is a laptop, whether it is a desktop, or whether it is a tablet PC, he should be able to connect to whatever mode of connectivity, whether it is a Wi-Fi, whether it is a 3G, or whether it is some landline connectivity or MPLS. So it has to be media independent. The doctors are not expected to know the IT equipment and how IT is going to work. It should provide them ease to use, that once they start working, they should not be able to spend even 2 minutes or 5 minutes just setting up that particular equipment. So that has to be most important factor, so as to get the involvement of the doctors into this particular process. From the patient side, why we have seen a lot of hesitations that patients prefer to meet the doctor in real life, because that gives them the comfort. If you see in terms of the comfort factor, people who have been using video conferencing as a technology, they'll feel that we get close to around 80% of the comfort as compared to the real life interaction. There used to be telephonic communication also, or teleconferencing which used to happen, which used to give the 30% of the comfort. These are some of the statistics which have been published overseas. But video conferencing can give you 80%. But it will only give you 80% comfort provided you are getting the right quality. They should be able to see the doctor properly, they should be able to hear the voice, so that they are confident that whatever they are speaking, it's getting heard by the doctor, and whatever doctor is saying, it's getting heard by them. If someone who is hesitant to go on a telemedicine infrastructure, he doesn't get the right kind of quality, the voice breaks or the video breaks, next time you can never get him back. So that things have to work first time, because anyway there are people who are hesitant to use this particular technology. So we need to ensure the quality of the infrastructure is up to the mark. Apart from this particular, I would say the human issue, then there has to be infrastructure which has to be created to deliver this, one at the doctor end, one at the patient end, and then there has to be a connectivity in between these. The infrastructure will include the components from video conferencing like Polycom. You mentioned that they have been one of the major vendors who have been offering the entire range of solution, right from the, I would say, the software-based client, going up to the telepresence and real presence-based solution, which can be used as per the requirement of the organization. So they have the vast portfolio, and there are similar other vendors who have been offering this particular thing. So this is something which is required at both the ends. Then we need the medical equipment as per the requirement of that particular consultation or that particular telemedicine. Now telemedicine I would like to categorize into various tiers. Telemedicine is something we heard the armed forces people yesterday. They were saying when there used to be a war in Kargil, they used to provide the consultation over the phone. So that was the simplest or easiest means of telemedicine. Telemedicine is nothing but delivering the medical advice over some kind of a communication. So that was the simplest way. Next comes in teleconsultation. Teleconsultation, being a subset of telemedicine, I would say, is nothing else just because other than the video conferencing. There have to be two people who have to talk, and these particular two people can talk once video conferencing is in place. Third, or the most advanced thing is required when you have to capture or you have to do the diagnosis of the patient in the real time, where we have a lot of equipment like you would have seen in the stall of Global Met, the first stall which is there. We have showcased various equipment, which are the digital stethoscope, where a doctor can hear the heartbeat of the patient sitting even thousands of miles. So there is a headphone which is provided to the doctor. There can be a local end also where the paramedical staff which is at the place of patient, he can also hear, as well as remote doctor can also hear. We can capture the statistics or the diagnose the ECG. We can do the ultrasound, we can do the X-rays, we can do, I would say, ENT examination, otoscope. So there are a variety of equipment, and that is the, I would say, the highest form of telemedicine, which per se, with our interaction with so many customers in the last couple of years, we have seen out of the requirements which come as telemedicine, per se 60% are only video conferencing. Only 30 to 40% require the real form of telemedicine, where you need to actually deploy some sort of medical devices. So this is something which needs to be deployed. And then third and most crucial thing is the bandwidth. These locations have to be connected. So you need to have a seamless bandwidth, which is good enough to take care of any video conferencing requirement, like standard definition used to require 256 to 384 kbps. And today the advanced technologies for high definition, I'm sure Mark is going to cover that in the next session, as H.264 high profile, which is going to offer you the high definition quality at 512 kbps, which is today not a challenge. 5 years ago, there used to be, most of the organizations used to have links of 64 kbps, but that is history now. People today have 2 Mbps or above than that. So this particular bandwidth has to be seamless so that that particular,
we have about a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure. So that is something which needs to be put in place so that good quality of service can be given between the patients to the doctors. And today I am happy to see one of the service providers who is there in the sponsorship list. We have been participating with Telemedicon for almost last 5 years, and this is the first time we are seeing a service provider. So service providers are also trying to bring in the focus on this particular initiative. So what I would say is, like the success of other mission mode projects in other ministries, we need to have a mission mode project around this particular technology also. So we need to have, let's say, something like state telemedicine network, which needs to be rolled out in all the states, because ultimately health is a state subject, but at the same time center has to support that. Like center has supported all the other initiatives across the ministries, they need to support this particular initiative so that a platform should be shown. Not only these particular things, we have, I'm sure that everyone is aware that there are a lot of e-gov projects which have happened across the country. The largest being, which was for so many years, was the e-passport saver. And after that, we have another rollout which has happened in the health segment. So the largest e-gov project of the country today is in the health segment, which was done by ESIC itself, which is connecting close to around 1,500 dispensaries and 140 hospitals at this point of time on a bandwidth of 256 kbps, upwards of 2 Mbps at various locations. And this particular ESIC, they are catering to a population of 5.5 crore people in the country, across the nation. So they are the organization which has got a ready platform, and they have a population of 5% of the country. 5% of 1.2 billion is not a small number. They have the infrastructure which is ready, 1,500 hospitals across the country. It means practically they are multiple in every block. So this kind of penetration is there. So these kind of organization needs to scale up to absorb telemedicine. They have spent $300 million in these kind of initiatives, and still they are not able to deliver the medical services to the people in the rural area. And those 5% of the people, in case they can get these kind of services, this is going to be a huge, I won't say pilot, I would say it's the biggest rollout across the world. And similarly, we can have any state-based rollouts that are going to give a great push to these kind of telemedicine initiatives. This was more from the government perspective. From the corporate perspective, we need to have some sort of a service providers, I would say telemedicine service providers, who can offer a single point of service to a doctor. Last month, I got a requirement from one of the doctors in Delhi. He has got 23 eye clinic across the country. He wanted to connect. We work out a BOQ. It was an investment of 1 crore, which is not a small investment for someone who is going to take a plunge into telemedicine. In case it doesn't work out, his investment goes down the drain. So we need to have a service provider who takes the ownership that I'm going to create this thing for you. You start using that and pay me on a usage basis. So that is what is going to push this telemedicine technology going into the volumes in the private and in the government segment. So those were some of the thoughts after going through this session of 3 days. Any questions on that? So that was it from my side.
Okay, so Thanks very much, Mr. Grida. I think you have succinctly put together the challenges faced by telemedicine and the problem related to the ecosystem, the way in which this whole telemedicine ecosystem is developing. There's a lot of impaired components within the development, but as long as there is an intense need for telemedicine in the country, I think this will really see the light of the day, though its progress is relatively slow, but I think the way in which you have described some of the examples, it looks like there is a groundswell, and we definitely would see something positive happening in the years to come.
It all
Any
depends
questions
on
from
the,
here? Sorry.
It all
I'll
depends
just-
on the
we
return
need
of
to-
investment, what you are saying. The faster we get return of investment, it will motivate the people to.
Yeah, it
get
depends
more
on how well the
investment.
ecosystem develops, and there's a leadership that has to happen. Like the way it happened in telecommunication industry.
That's true.
See, there's a lot of, amongst the competition, they work together to set up the towers, right, instead of fighting. The towers was a major critical bottleneck,
True.
and they invested what they call the Indus. There's a company that was formed, and then the towers were supported by all these companies. So there must be, what will happen is that I guess a leadership will emerge, as long as we see a business model which is viable, but you have succinctly put together all the challenges.
I think that would be the last step when we have so many telemedicine service providers and then they try to collaborate on that.
Absolutely, terrific.
Right.
Thanks very
Okay,
much.
Thank you.